Welcome to Conversations. It's not often that an Indian company develops pistols and submachine guns for our armed forces indigenously. You heard that right. Start to end, made in Bharat. The Hyderabad-based Lokesh Machines Limited is an example of the Atmanirbhar Bharat that Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi speaks about. Lokesh Machines has secured a significant order to supply their ASMI 9 into 19 mm submachine guns to the Northern Command of the Indian Army. This milestone comes after an extensive trial process involving several contenders. Notably, this is the first time that a domestic private manufacturer has successfully secured an order from the Indian Army for 100% indigenously designed and manufactured small arms. Lokesh Machines has already delivered the ASMI 9 into 19 mm machine pistols to the Central Armed Police Forces, including the National Security Guard and the Assam Rifles, and is currently executing a pilot order for the Border Security Force. From the planning stage, selection of small arms as the initial foray, designing and manufacturing an indigenous product, securing the licenses, establishing a greenfield manufacturing plant, and supplying to marquee customers was all accomplished in 2.5 years, a remarkable achievement even by global standards. Today, we have on SA Media the directors of Lokesh Machines Limited, Sri M. Srinivas and Sri M. Sri Krishna. Let's understand from them how this was all made possible. How did they walk their talk? Mr. Srinivas and Mr. Sri Krishna, thank you for joining us at SA Media, and I'm sure that you have a lot of questions to answer. I'm sure we will kind of go through it as the process begins. But to start with, Mr. Srinivas, at the outset, can you take us through a journey of the Lokesh Machines Limited? Because the journey that the organization took over the years and finally getting into defense sector production. How did this journey happen?
Hi, I'm M. Srinivas. I'm a director here at Lokesh Machines Limited. I've been with this company, I would say today it's almost 30 years now, 30 plus years. And primarily I joined in the machine tool design and thereafter moved into a little bit of a business development or customer support. And when we started a new division to machine engine blocks for Mahindra and Mahindra, that's when I joined that particular division, heading the complete operations, setting up the plant as well as scaling it up thereafter. It's been a momentous journey. I mean, it's been slow, not as fast as most of the other industries. We've been a very conservative industry pretty earlier in the times, and we have seen several recessions. Not one, but maybe 3 or 4 recessions the company has endured, and the last one being around 2018 or 2019. It was during that recession when we thought that besides machine tools, which was predominantly catering to the automotive sector, and as well as our own auto component division, again dependent on the automotive sector, we felt that no, we should branch out and start a new division which is not predominantly into automotive. So therefore, the idea came into the defense thing. I mean, again, here also we are pretty late, being a Hyderabad company. DRDO has been here from time immemorial, but somehow we were never doing any business with DRDO. But that's when we started talking to DRDO, Hyderabad. And then we realized, or rather, during our interaction with several scientists, senior scientists there, we could understand that yes, we are pretty late in the game, and there are pretty lot of entrenched players already who have been doing business with DRDO for many years. And but nevertheless, we persevered, and they were also kind enough to give us certain leads or directions, and that's how we went to ARDE Pune, which is again a division of DRDO. It's Armament Research and Development Establishment. So ARDE specializes in armaments, which is guns or small range rockets and those howitzers, tanks, etc. and they were looking for a vendor for some of the machine components for the small arms. We initially started with some kind of a job work, and the quality was pretty good. They were very happy, and most of the components we delivered were ahead of time. Now when they saw the quality of our goods, and that's when they were also getting into development of a new weapon, the 9x19 ASME as it is called today. So while developing that ASME, the components for that, they asked us, whether we would like to involve with the entire program, and we were more than eager to do that, because we successfully delivered components, and we could understand the mechanical of it, and therefore we got into it, and thereafter, yes, the design, they had the design, some kind of a initial cut, and then we gave them a first working prototype in less than 3 months, and which was pleasantly surprising for them. And then they started firing the weapon, and what was even surprising is in less than 6 months they had a proven weapon which was tried and tested, and then that's how it was offered to us thereafter. They called us and they asked us if we would like to go in for a transfer of technology, a TOT as it is called. We bid for that again, and yes, we were the lowest bidders for development of the complete weapon, and then we were successful in delivering the revised weapon, I would say, or a reworked weapon, because this weapon, there were joint inputs from ARD and as well as Lokesh, that's ourselves as well. And at ARD again, I have to point out here that it was actually a tripartite activity. There was Colonel Prasad Bansod of the Indian Army, who was on deputation at ARDE, and then the team at ARDE itself. Together they had developed the weapon, and then we pitched in. We made it more manufacturable. We brought in our own expertise, because being machine tool builders, we have the capability, we have the design strengths, and also by virtue of machining some critical auto components, we have those strengths as well. And that's how we got into this, and we could develop the weapon in a very, very short time. The qualification, as I said, it has happened in less than 6 months, and then there was a team from headed by NSG. It was a team which was deployed by MHA to ARDE to conduct the trials of this weapon, and again the weapon performed very well. NSG conducted the trials with under its aegis, there were others like BSF, CRPF, ITBP, and a couple of other forces. And yes, that's been the journey then. And subsequently, we ventured out to set up our own a greenfield plant for this, which is coming up, or rather, which is now set up at Kalakkal near Tupran Mandal. Yes, while the design and manufacturing of the prototype took us less than 6 months, it took us a little bit of a time to get the licensing. The license has to be issued by MHA. The process took us almost 2.5 years, and by then we set up the plant. And what is noteworthy is the entire journey of the design, manufacture, getting the license, setting up the plant, and not to mention getting marquee clients like NSG, Assam Rifles, BSF. The whole thing happened in less than 3 years. This, I feel, is a record of its kind, even compared to any global standards. So that's been the journey so far as I could narrate.
Yeah, the question obviously would be the formation of Lokesh Machines and how it has grown over the years, because that's extremely important for a viewer to understand. How did it form? Because we already spoken about how the journey was, but how has it grown over the years? Because from a machine tool company, how did you evolve into an automotive company, automotive supply company, and of course now into defense production? How did this transitions all happen?
Yeah, hello, I'm Sri Krishna. I'm a director of Lokesh Machines. I joined this business in the year 1992 along with my brother, Both of us joined at the same time. I finished my engineering and then I joined my father's business. When we joined our business, we were just producing special purpose machines in a small way to 4 or 5 claims. And today we are the number one in the special machines business, particularly for the engine components. We made the first Euro 6 machines in India and also in Asia. We supplied to Volvo. Euro 6 engine was mandatory in India from the year 2019. But we made the machines, Euro 6 machines, way back in 2014. And then we became the leaders for these machines, for all the Euro 6 diesel engines. Apart from special purpose machines, we also make a lot of standalone general purpose machines like CNC lathes, turn mill centers, and milling machines, 3, 4 and 5 axis. And today we're making CNC lathes up to 6 axis. And our machines are not just sold in India, we also sell them in Europe, and in the past we exported to Japan, we sell them in Russia, and we also sell them in the United States, primarily for the defense and aerospace industry. So I head the machine tool division, and then we also have the auto component division. And then, we thought that, we should do something other than automotive. That's when we entered that's when, our Prime Minister Modi ji has said, Atmanirbhar, and then, we need to be self-reliant, self-sufficient, and we have to produce in India. And then we thought that, the small arms business, or the Americans call it firearms, this is one business where, there's still a lot of imports happening. And then we had an opportunity to work with DRDO, and then we developed the first weapon, ASMI, in a record time of 3 months. And then the gun was tested by MHA and the Armed Forces, Air Force, and then the result was fantastic. And this is the first 100% made in India gun. So, having done this gun, DRDO asked us, can you develop another gun? So we just finished developing the light machine gun, which has a 900 meter range. It's a belt-fed gun, fully automatic. And even that gun, it's been tested at the Army Infantry School, Mao, and the results are very, very good. And having done this with the help of DRDO, we also did some variants from these guns, like for example from the 9mm ASMI, we made one more variant, which is a much shorter length. And now we are making one more variant, which is having a higher range. And this gun, it's not just a mission pistol, we call it a submachine gun. And we are now trying to make a 9mm, the same gun in a different variant, to compete with the carbines with a higher range. So far it's been good, very encouraging. We had very good support from DRDO and all the government officers. And that's it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that answer of that. And definitely, I'm going to ask you for some more things as we go along, as I mentioned before. But let's actually look at the competition that is there from the global manufacturer, because this is not a simple thing, a vanilla stuff. The global manufacturer, the Israelis, the Germans, they all would have been in this fray for this, and even the Russians for that matter. But how did a company like Lokesh Machines trump over these global biggies, so to speak of?
I'll give you some case studies here. Our gun was being tested along with some imported guns from Israel and from Europe. And Indian Army trials are one of the toughest in the world. Okay. And our gun had successfully passed the trials without a single interruption. When the Army conducts trials, they give us certain stoppages like class 1 stoppage and class 2 stoppage. Okay, and then we also have the accuracy trails and drop test and mud test and all these. Okay, and ASMI is the only gun which actually passed the trails without a single stoppage, whether it be class 1 or class 2. Whereas some of the famous European guns, I don't want to name, they have actually failed. And some of the guns, they passed, but with the class A and class 1 and class 2 stoppages. This apart, we also, the Northern Command, they conducted the trials, where fortunately only our gun was the only gun which passed all the trials, whereas the other guns, they were disqualified because either accuracy or, intermittent stoppage in between. And we are proud, with the DRDO design. They have done a very robust design. It's not just the DRDO design. Actually, DRDO worked with the Army, and the Army gave all the inputs with all their experience. See, at the end of the day, we have to satisfy the end user. And the end user here is the Army and the police departments. So the Indian Army gave a lot of fantastic inputs. And all these inputs were considered by DRDO, and then they have designed. And then further we have refined during manufacturing. So I can proudly say that, the small arms made in India today are world class.
Mr. Sri Krishna, of course, after this answer about, how that international competition was handled, let's come into the selection process of this guns for that matter. In fact, why was a 9mm selected for the close quarter battle operation, whereas the trend is more in favor of the 5.56mm in the carbine category? How was this decision taken?
9mm was selected primarily because in India, predominantly, over the years, there was more usage of 9mm, and most of our police forces, the security, they were using more of 9mm, and then, they needed a replacement and a more modern gun. That's the reason why we went for 9mm. It's not just 9mm alone. We have started with 9mm, and then, we're also doing the 7.62 caliber light machine guns and general purpose machine guns. 5.56, yes, it is coming, but, we are also making the 9mm more or less equivalent to the 5.56. You'll be seeing in the next couple of months a machine gun similar to a 5.56 carbine. So yes, there's a requirement for 5.56, there's a requirement for 9mm, but there's still a lot of market for 9mm. So that's the reason why we started off with 9mm.
I'm sure, thank you for that answer. I'm sure that our viewers who are not that familiar with a kind of 9mm and a 5.56mm actually have understood. Mr. Srinivas, this question is again to you specifically, because we are now looking at what are the advantages, because whenever we talk of cost, you did mention that the cost was low, and that still you were able to maintain the quality. But what are the advantages that you have, and how did you keep this cost of the weapon low yet maintain that quality, which is extremely important when you're dealing with arms, because there cannot be two ways about it. There are no compromises in this.
First and foremost, of course, the manufacturing. We have the manufacturing expertise because we ourselves, are a machine tool manufacturer, and world over the arms components are made in the kind of machines that we build. In fact, our own machines, as our director Sri Krishna pointed out, are being deployed in the small arms and defense business globally. This is one point, and so therefore the expertise. And then yes, as an Indian company, besides the technical expertise, we also have the advantage of cost, and the choice of materials what we have chosen are also good. And finally, this weapon is 100% indigenous, not a single content, including the polymer components are all localized, and the entire vendor base is here in Hyderabad, except one vendor in Bangalore, but otherwise The rest of the vendors are in Hyderabad, besides our own in-house manufacturing.
Obviously, thank you. I mean, we understood now. And how did Lokesh Machines Limited keep that cost under check and yet maintain the very high quality standard that our armed forces would ask for? Thank you for that answer, sir. Now, of course, I would jump to the next question that obviously would come to you, Mr. Srinivas, again, and that is the ecosystem. How did you create an ecosystem for the manufacture of sub-assemblies? Because it's not easy, isn't it? I mean, you just don't get them off the shelf like that, like you would do for, say, an automotive or any other manufacturing field, which is more broad-based. The question, of course, Mr. Krishna, it's to you and Mr. Srinivas, both of you. So, Mr. Srinivas, you can actually take the question first, and then Mr. Sri Krishna can actually answer the rest of it. So, please go ahead, sir.
As I had mentioned in the beginning of our discussion, in Hyderabad, by virtue of DRDO being here, we already have a very good ecosystem of part manufacturers in the small and medium scale, mostly in the small scale, who are technically sound, who are more quality oriented, and of course, the only thing is they are not mass manufacturers like the manufacturers either in Chennai or Pune or elsewhere. But then when it comes to the low batch quality production, yes, we have pretty good vendors here in Hyderabad, and we could leverage on them, on their expertise, and coupled with our own manufacturing expertise. So the entire ecosystem is local, and we consciously made sure that we are this product is pretty cost sensitive, and we want to make a low priced but yet a quality product, an economical and a quality product. So therefore we choose the local infrastructure, or rather I would say the local ecosystem, and we worked hard with them, and then we made sure that we get a quality product at the price that delights the end customer.
Added to what my brother Srinivas said, we supplied a couple of machines for making gun parts in the US, and then we had a chance to see how they are producing over there the new latest technologies, and we are now supporting, being a machine tool industry, all these years, we've been giving manufacturing solutions. It's not just about selling a machine. Apart from selling a machine, we also say we sell the production. Like, customer comes to us, when he comes to us, he just doesn't buy a machine. He asks us to give a solution. We've been giving them a lot of economical solutions. And we are now, supporting our vendors. Like, we are doing all the engineering, and then, we are helping them in terms of achieving the, high volume production and at a lower price.
Do you think this assistance would actually help a company like Lokesh Machines to get the project off the ground fast, and of course get the product approved and running in no time?
I think yes. See, for example, these guns, like the LMG what we made and the 9mm what we made, these guns are successful because it's not just because we made the guns right. The DRDO design was good, and most important of everything is there were very, very good inputs given by the Indian Army.
Mr. Srinivas, this question to you would be very, very obvious, isn't it? Prime Minister Narendra Modi has not just been speaking about the Atmanirbhar Bharat. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh has been pushing that. The Indian defense industry for long has been importing arms into the country. We still import aircraft, the fighter aircraft like the Rafale, which we did, because we still don't have the capability in-house. We do have Tejas and other things coming up. But to a large extent in the last decade, and especially in the last 5 years, we have seen a huge push in the Indian defense industry to go local. I mean, both the public sector and the private sector are even jointly developing weapons and weapon systems and all of the things that are associated that an Indian armed forces would need, and even the central forces would need. Now, when you look at it, do you think the Atmanirbhar Bharat, because India is now exporting weapons across to other countries, I think it's around 83,000 crores is the target. But do you think the Indian defense industry is now come of age to get the Atmanirbhar Bharat right?
Yes, there is a lot of talk on Atmanirbhar. In fact, that was one of the motivating factors for us. And added to that, the government also declared the small arms as being in the negative import list. I mean, so if the products are made in India, then necessarily they should not be imported, and more opportunity should be given in India. Now, we are not asking for a complete protection as such for the domestic companies, but what we feel that there has to be a level playing field, because when we are making literally 90 to 100% indigenous, the others making, or rather if there are some other companies in India who are doing it with some kind of a collaboration or a technology tie-up or a joint venture with foreign companies, well, they should insist that the Indian government should insist that the products be, if not 100% made in India, they should be at least 70 to 75% made in India. Now, and the same condition should be extended to the states as well, the state police or any other security agencies, not just the Indian Army or the Indian Navy or the Air Force, but all the other security agencies as well have to respect this, because let's say a company like Lokesh, which has got into this, earlier not being a weapon manufacturer, but we got into this, we put in a lot of equity into this in terms of our time, effort, money, and also the investment in the greenfield plant, trusting the government to its word of Atmanirbharta and Make in India and other things. So therefore, a level playing field should be created. So this is where the government should perhaps be a little more active.
Mr. Srinivas and Mr. Sri Krishna, it is wonderful talking to both of you to understand how a company from Hyderabad, Lokesh Machines Tools, actually entered this particular industry, the arms industry, and actually has developed two good weapon systems, and of course the third one on the way. And that is what is very important to understand, ladies and gentlemen, because the Indian armed forces, the central armed forces, all require weapons. Until now, for a large extent, we've been depending on outside sources, that is from around the country or even from abroad to get it. But now, small players, niche players are getting into this segment and giving out product which is of top quality, and that's more important. And ladies and gentlemen, this is why we need to understand the success story of Atmanirbhar Bharat, how India is making for India. It's all about made in India. Thank you for watching. Jai Hind.